All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. We're going to peel back that glossy corporate PR surrounding the whole AI revolution and look at what is actually happening to workers. Because, every single day we're bombarded with headlines about how artificial intelligence is going to completely revolutionize our workflows, save us countless hours, and basically usher in this utopian era of unbelievable efficiency. But when we look critically at the data, the research, and the real-world experiences of employees across the globe, a very different, much darker picture starts to emerge. So today, we're going to question that dominant narrative and expose what the system is really hiding behind the guise of increased productivity. Listen to this observation from an engineer in a recent UC Berkeley Haas study of tech employees. It perfectly nails the modern worker's paradox. The big promise of AI was supposed to be liberation from drudgery, right? But if technology is saving us so much time, why are we more exhausted than ever? As this engineer points out, AI didn't actually free up our time. It just expanded what workers felt capable of taking on and what management expected them to deliver. The goalposts literally just shifted. So let's get into Section 1, the corporate AI spin. We're looking at the PR narrative versus the reality. To wrap our heads around this paradox, we really need to look at how the corporate world is framing AI adoption to the public and to their shareholders. Take a look at how corporate reports, like a recent one from PwC, categorize jobs into low exposure, professionalized, and democratized. The corporate spin presents this democratization of work as this incredibly positive shift. They argue that AI lowers the skill barriers for complex tasks, allowing way more people to do them. It sounds wonderful, right? Democratization sounds like empowerment. But as we dig a little deeper into what that actually means for your paycheck and your job security, the facade really starts to crack. Because when you put that sanitized corporate speak next to their reality on the ground, it's a stark contrast. Global labor analysts are finding that terms like democratizing work or organizational simplification often just translate to masking layoffs and creating really precarious gig work. Companies absolutely hate the bad PR of mass layoffs, so they use this neutral, highly technical corporate language to package these cuts as inevitable, progressive performance revisions driven by AI. It's a highly orchestrated narrative. Moving on to Section 2, quiet cutting and scapegoats, or basically how companies are masking those layoffs. And that brings us to a really crucial concept, quiet cutting. This is a highly strategic, employer-driven tactic. Instead of just handing you a pink slip and a severance package, a company will gradually dissolve your team, shrink your responsibilities, or reassign you to tasks that have absolutely zero impact. The ultimate goal? To make you so uncomfortable or so incredibly bored that you just quit voluntarily. It's perfectly designed to adapt to automation and trim the workforce without triggering bad press or a public outcry. In fact, research from Oxford Economics points out something pretty wild. A lot of these companies are just using AI as a convenient scapegoat. They're basically covering up conventional business setbacks, structural failures, and that massive pandemic-era overhiring. By blaming job cuts on AI automation, executives can satisfy Wall Street, boost their stock prices by looking incredibly innovative, and completely dodge accountability for their own poor management decisions. It's quite the magic trick, isn't it? You can see this playing out vividly in real time with companies like Klarna and Duolingo. Duolingo actively dismantled stable jobs, firing their contractors just to become an AI-first company. Klarna proudly announced their new AI chatbot replaced the work of 700 human customer service agents, and they halted new hiring for an entire year. But here is the critical detail they tend to bury. When they realized the AI's quality wasn't fully up to par, they announced plans to hire human agents back, but only under a flexible, Uber-type gig model. They basically used AI to destroy stable jobs and replace them with fragmented, benefitless labor. Which leads us right into Section 3, the hidden financial trap, the real cost of false efficiency. Get this, a staggering 73% of organizations that executed AI-driven staff cuts actually failed to come out financially ahead. Think about that for a second. Nearly 3/4 of these companies fired their people to save money, and it completely backfired on them. So why did it backfire? Well, according to the Emerald Book, they fell for the illusion of cheap AI. They traded human salaries for AI licenses, only to get absolutely crushed by astronomical cloud compute and API fees. And it gets worse. They hit what's called the expensive undo button. They quickly realized the AI couldn't run unsupervised, so they had to rehire these hybrid humans to fix the AI's mistakes. Roles that once paid $55,000 are now commanding $75,000 or more because auditing generative AI requires really complex, specialized oversight. They fired their workforce for a mirage of efficiency, only to pay a premium to clean up the mess.
All right, Section 4, the junior talent death spiral and how we're destroying the pipeline. This desperate grab for short-term savings is sparking a massive crisis for entry-level workers and, honestly, the future of the tech industry itself. By refusing to hire junior talent because AI can do the basic tasks cheaper, companies are actively building what the industry literally calls a slop layer. This is a foundation of automated work and code that technically functions for now, sure, but nobody in the organization actually understands how it works. And when it inevitably breaks down the line, nobody's going to know how to fix it because that foundational knowledge just isn't there anymore.
So you end up with this fatal 3-step death spiral. Step 1, you eliminate junior roles. Step 2, because you have 0 juniors, you totally destroy the pipeline that produces the senior engineers who actually understand system architecture. Step 3, you accumulate massive, unfixable technical debt. Industry observers are projecting a catastrophic shortage of true senior engineers by the year 2030, all because corporations today prioritize a slight bump in quarterly margins over maintaining their human talent pipeline.
Okay, let's shift gears for Section 5, the true human cost, and look at burnout in the AI era.
If we step back from the systemic corporate collapse side of things, we really have to look at the deeply personal, psychological toll this is taking on everyday employees. Researchers and clinicians are actually identifying severe clinical distress tied directly to this corporate behavior. They're calling it AIRD, Artificial Intelligence Replacement Dysfunction. This isn't just folks complaining about a new software update. We are talking about an intense, persistent fear of professional obsolescence that is causing measurable functional impairment in people's daily lives. It proves that AI anxiety is a profound, completely normal human response to genuine corporate threats. And look, these are not just trendy buzzwords. Workers are experiencing visceral, physical signs of distress. We're talking about severe sleep disruption, waking up at 4 a.m. doing mental calculations about redundancy. We're seeing chronic feelings of inadequacy because humans are constantly unfairly comparing their natural output speed to an unfeeling machine. Workers are facing paralyzing anxiety fueled by this intense algorithmic monitoring and the constant looming threat of quiet cutting. But honestly, the darkest irony of this entire system of false efficiency is the absolute explosion of performative overwork. Driven by sheer job insecurity, employees feel forced to volunteer for longer hours just to demonstrate their value. Tech founders are even noting a shift toward a grueling 9-9-6 work culture. That's working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. Employees are literally terrified into working longer, harder hours just to prove to their bosses that they are still more valuable than a bot. AI didn't bring us more leisure time. It weaponized our fear to extract more free labor.
This brings us to our final part, Section 6, Who Keeps the Dividend? The Fight for Time.
This is arguably the most vital part of this whole explainer, the battle over who actually benefits from this massive technological leap. Stanford's Jeffrey Pfeiffer, who studies the health impacts of modern employment, puts it pretty bluntly. Extracting more output for the exact same pay while constantly threatening workers with algorithmic replacement and giving them zero control is literally making the workforce sick. It's amplifying economic insecurity and job stress, factors that already cost hundreds of billions of dollars and countless lives every single year. You simply cannot run a knowledge economy on depleted human brains. A Boston Consulting Group study found a 12% increase in mental fatigue just for workers who have to constantly monitor multiple AI tools. That initial productivity boost degrades so rapidly because human judgment naturally deteriorates under chronic cognitive exhaustion and information overload. We are essentially treating human beings like server racks, and it is completely failing. We have to demand what economists are calling a time dividend. Right now, we are entirely trapped in the corporate horde, where productivity gains flow exclusively to the top, while workers get stagnant wages, precarious gig employment, and chronic anxiety. The alternative is the time dividend. If AI truly lets workers accomplish their required output in fewer hours, those saved hours must be returned to the worker in the form of shorter, 4-day work weeks and actual shared profit. The gains absolutely have to be shared, not just hoarded. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to take away from our explainer today. Look at your own life and your own workplace. If these machines are supposedly doing all the heavy lifting,
Why is your schedule fuller than ever? Who is really keeping the time and the money that AI is supposedly saving? It is well past time we start asking the hard questions about who this technology is actually serving.